I want to talk about some poker machine reforms that may well be on their way in Victoria. Now, we know that at the last state election in New South Wales, there was a political party promising to do the cashless card and everything the Sydney Morning Herald and the sort of, pearl clutchers wanted. They didn't win. Instead, the Labor Party that said, OK, maybe, but not really, they, of course, ended up winning, and the big change is going to be no more VIP lounge signs. Well, that'll change everything. But polling that's starting to work over out of the Channel 9 newspapers in Victoria says the majority of Victorians, they support a crackdown on poker machines. Now, the polling, which is very clear, says majority of people say that the pre-commitment card is the right way to go and set limits and all the rest of it because poker machines are evil. Now, I do not pretend for a second that there is not problem gambling that can devastate families. But is anyone going to suggest that maybe we should have a pre-commitment system for alcohol? That when you go to the MCG, you should take a card and only say, I'm going to have 2 drinks, boss, and that's it. Why? Because I had a look at the stats today. Since 2011, alcohol has been connected in Victoria to 343,000 assaults, 336,000 hospital visits, 195,000 ambulances that are called out because people are too drunk, 81,000 people dying, or 19,000 people being injured on the roads. Now, that does not mean that there are not problem gamblers and there aren't problems with poker machines. But, Pricey, I do love the puritanical nature of certain people who say, because it's bad, we must limit everyone's intake of what might potentially become dangerous. What about booze if you're going after pokies? Because as bad as pokies can become, they don't cause road accidents, they don't cause hospital visits, they don't cause road injuries. Am I off with the fairies because I like a punt?
No, it's a good comparison. And you've got to remember, Victoria and New South Wales are very different when it comes to poker machines. I mean, New South Wales, as I understand it, has many more poker machines per head than what Victoria does. And Victoria has, one big casino at Crown. A lot of the hotels in Victoria, particularly in the inner suburbs that are now occupied by the Teals and the Greens, have got rid of their poker machines because they themselves don't want to run a pub with pokies in them. Poker machines are not illegal. And I don't know where Nine's doing that polling, but poker machine usage in this state is not a massive debate. I don't hear many people running around saying we've got to get rid of evil poker machines. I just don't hear that in debate in Victoria at all.
Now, again, Sam, people will be able to turn around and say, well, Paul's just, shilling for big gambling, whatever the hell that they're going to say. I'm just saying it is interesting about the types of issues that we decide to say there's a problem, there's a social licence, here's the thing. So you can still use them, but you can only do so much. Again, I'm not suggesting, please speak on the behalf of everyone who pushes this stuff, but why do they pick this vice rather than that vice? Is it literally because the people who write for The Age don't play the pokies?
I think that's
if it was about cheeky wines on a Friday.
That's right. They've never been in the VIP lounge in their life.
Correct.
Look, I don't mind there being a serious and considered look at problem gambling because problem gambling does utterly destroy lives. That said, the technology for a pre-commitment card does not exist, right? Nowhere in the world does this exist. Correct. So, the government at the last election came out and said, we're going to have this within X years, on every machine. And it's like, but how? Like, no one has literally developed this technology. So, Minns has said he's going to do a trial. Let's see how it goes. Let's see if on the machines and on the pokies that have this card working, if the rate of problem gambling goes down, or if they just go on apps and find some other way to, get their fix, in which case, maybe we don't need to go to all the expense of doing it.
It's called online.
Yeah. Well, correct. Well, that's the thing.
It's called online. You can go and play poker machines online any time of the day you want.
But again, I just love this idea, and again, how sometimes we're sort of competing against ourselves, where the Greens or other sort of nutty lefties will turn around and say, smoking bad, legalise pot, smoking bad, gambling bad.
Vape's bad.
Yeah, vape's bad, but you can have a personal amount of drugs walking around the streets of Canberra or soon be Brisbane, Steve.
I know. I mean, this is just ridiculous, isn't it? That, the ACT in particular which surrounds that big building where all these politicians spend their days, you can wander around the streets there with small amounts of crack and ice pipes and everything. I mean, it's just crazy. But if you try and walk into a pub with a cigarette in your hand, you'll be handcuffed and thrown in prison.
Well, and as I always talk about with Nicholas Rees, the heroin injecting rooms or drug injecting rooms, which I support because of the harm minimisation, but you try and light up a smoke in there, you bad man. Thank you, lads. Do appreciate it. We'll talk to you again very soon.